Om. 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 Since we are going to have the meditation at the end, let's start with chanting Bhagwan's glory by one or two slokas. Whenever we have the meditation at the end, then we can start with one or two slokas. So this sloka really highlights the different names of Bhagwan. And when so many names are there, why people actually don't chant those names and remember Bhagwan? Instead, actually, they are all giving priority to something else. There are about 18 names actually selected here. Together, who can chant? Srinath Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Bhakta Priya Chakrapani Shri Padmanabha Achyuta Kaita Bhare Shri Rama Padmaksha Hare Murare Ananta Vaikunta Mukunda Krishna Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Vaktum Samarthopi Navakti Kinjite Aho Jananam Vyasana Vimukyam Aho Jananam Vyasana Vimukyam, when so many names are there. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. 11 times Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. 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 Welcome back. So we'll just quickly summarize the discussion topic 15, what a lot of you have shared your reflection, and then flash the next week topic, then move on to our main text. And then last 15 minutes or so, we'll have the guided meditation. That's the plan. So reflection topic, last time it was about reflecting on Guruji's this particular statement, what he makes in one of the recent discourses. True remembrance of God is abidance in Satchidananda. You have all reflected Most of you have shared it also. That's very good. And I'm so glad to see the thinking process in the right direction. And of course, I just saw Ritaji's reflection also. So that summarizes all. Those who have not read through those things, please do see. I just want to add a couple of references, which if you want to go further into this, the ultimate sadhana is devotion. Devotion is defined in Vivek Chudamani. I think a couple of you quoted this time as well as last time. Swarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti iti abhidiyate. That is the ultimate devotion, supreme devotion. And Guruji highlights this in talk 5 of Navavida Bhakti, which was recently broadcasted. And I'll post this link also, those who are interested to. And also, some time ago, about a couple of years ago, we had the Po Gita Fest. I don't know whether you all remember. At that time, each of the chapters were summarized by different Swamijis, half an hour summary. And he's still there in Chinmaya channel, those who want to see him. And Swami Shantananda ji summarized chapter 12, which actually the first 11, 12 slokas highlights the bhakti in the reverse order of the highlight, the highest to the lowest. So that in the first 15 minutes or so, Swami Shantananda ji explains that also is worth listening. And also Guruji's talk 5, the last 15 minutes or so is worth listening regarding to this topic. I thought I'll just include this so that those who are interested can see this. But otherwise, I thought everybody has reflected very nicely. This is one topic which actually all of us as Vedantin should keep always in mind. And Bhagavan also, says in different places, he says, Sarvabhutas, Sarvabhuta Mahavaho. And also that's in chapter 7, chapter 10, 20th verse, and so many places he says, he is the self in all. Very true, very true. A comment from here, from Vidya, is that when we look at from this topic perspective, then, otherwise we just listen and we just read and then, it goes as if, this is another sentence. But when we look at from topic perspective and we reflect on it, then we sinks in more. That's why, a lot of these things actually. But for example, the next topic also is something like that. And that is this. We are all serious seeker, right? And what role or title will you give to your senses? And why? Various options are there. Will you give this title as friend or servant or associate or opponent, a manager or senior manager? I hope not. So what title, what role you will give to yourself? The why part of it is for that. You have to explain. Yeah. So as you start dwelling on that why part of it, then, like you said, Vidya, then otherwise we just take it for granted. Yeah. Oh, senses, it's programmed to go outside and all that. Oh, we have to do purification, all these things. But when you look at from this angle, then it a lot more impact is there. That's the idea. Okay, so we'll enter into our text. We saw the Mangalacharanam last time after introduction to the text, author, and the logic in which we are going to analyze and so on. So today we'll just recap what we saw last time and also touch upon briefly about what Samir has asked. How do we look at this Mangalacharanam from Anubandha Sajastaya perspective? Together we'll chat. कटाक्ष किरणाचान्त नमन्मोहाब्दये नमः अनन्तानन्द कृष्णाय जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये नमः. My salutations. This is author Lakshmidhara Kavi is composing. My salutations to whom? Ananta Ananda Krishnaya. So this we saw. Of course, he is first prostrating to his Ishta Devata, Krishna. After prostrating to Lord Krishna, he also asked the attribute, qualification. Who is that Krishna? Ananta Ananda Krishna. That Krishna who is infinite bliss. So that way, he is actually prostrating to the Paramatma. And Ananta Ananda. Ananta is normally, goes with Brahman because it is infinity. Ananda Atma goes with Atma. So by mentioning Ananta Ananda is also, and also Krishna here. So he is actually prostrating to Ananta Ananda Brahma Jiva Aikyam and prostrating to the infinity. When we prostrate to the infinity, when that infinite bliss is there, then we are also part of that infinite bliss only. Because there cannot be anything else other than the infinite bliss. Right? So that way, Jiva Brahma Aikyam also is highlighted. So in these three words, there's so much the author has packed. It's first of all, worshipping to Ishtadevata. And the Ishtadevata is nothing but Paramatma. And then, of course, he is also coming out with the subject matter, what we are going to say. Jiva Brahma Aikyam. That is the subject matter. Anubandha Sajastaya has got Adhikari, subject, Vishaya, Prayojanam, and of course Sambandha. Those are the four, right? And so here the subject matter is highlighted, and is of course prostrating Guru, and also Guru and Bhagwan. Why Guru? Because his Guru's name is Ananta Ananda Krishna. So he is actually prostrating to Guru also, and he is actually equating Guru and Paramatma in this together. And he is also becoming one with them. So at that highest level, he doesn't see any difference. He is one with the Guru as well as with Paramatma. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vivagine. Dakshinamurti Shloka is there. So those aspects are seen. So he's bringing out the subject and he's also bringing out all the other things. So that is one thing which we have to. And then who, of course, he highlights is the Lord who brings the auspiciousness to the entire universe. And what is the Prayojanam and who is the Adhikari? That's the other aspect. And that is highlighted in the first line, the big compound. Kataksha Karana Ajanta Namat Moha Daye. So here, the Adhikari is that one who has surrendered to this Paramatma, who has surrendered to this Guru. So when fully surrendering, then Adhikari is definitely qualified to get this knowledge. Right? When we fully surrender, what happens? His will becomes our desire. Ishvara Chadirikta ma bhuya kamana kada, Guruji says. Right? So we don't have any other desire other than the will of the Lord, other than the will of the Guru. So that is the type of devotee he is referring to. That is the type of adhikari here. Right? And then we saw subject matter, we saw adhikari. Then what is the prayojanam? Kataksha kirana ajhanta moha of the air. All these delusions, which is like a samsara ocean, that ocean is swallowed. Ajanta. Ajanta. It is swallowed. Achamaniam. So that is the prayojanam. So the samsara ocean is actually swallowed by whom? All what is needed is that kataksha karana, that side glance of Bhagwan. That is enough for swallowing the entire ocean of samsara. That is the prayojanam. And that way we saw prayojanam, we saw adhikari, and we saw the subject matter also. And of course, Sambandha is actually, we should understand that it is. So some text actually, they explicitly mention Sambandha also in the Mangalacharanam, like Tattva Bodha Abhidiyate, right? If you remember the Tattva Bodha Mangalacharanam. So like that, some text actually, they specifically mention the Sambandha. Here, of course, we have to understand that. So that's the important aspect. I thought I'll highlight this, the very good point which last time Samir wanted to look at from that angle, which is very good. Any questions on this so far? Oh, that is summary of the salutation to Lord Krishna, infinite bliss, whose form is auspicious, the world, and who, by mere ray of his glance, dries up the ocean of delusion. To whom, whose ocean of delusion? The devotee, who surrenders. Then we went into the first sloka. We'll just chant this and then quickly recap the meaning before we go into the logical analysis, which is what actually our main focus today. And also in the process, I want to bring in the concept of pramanam. No, because this text also involves a lot of such concepts also. As we proceed, I'll bring in some of these concepts also so that, we'll be able to build upon it. The ideally, it's better to spend about 4 or 5 classes just on all the concepts that is needed and then go into the slokas. But I was thinking, as we go into the slokas and relevant concepts will bring in, that way it'll be easy to relate it also. And some of it, of course, you may be familiar, but it's better to link so that, all the dots are getting connected. Together we'll chant this. Ahamasmi sada bhami kadachinahamapriyaha brahmaivam hamadattidham sachidanandalakhanam. As we saw in one sloka, he has summarized that I am Brahman. Ahamasmi, I exist. When? Sada. We'll dwell on that Sada word also a little bit. Last time we did not go into detail. Then Aham. Tada Bhami. I always shine. Kadachin Aham. Kadachinna Aham Priyaha. Apriyaha. Kadachit na Aham Apriyaha. Never I am unlovable. So we also saw this in detail last time. I love myself the more. I love everything else because they bring ananda to me. Otherwise, I won't love. Hence, I love myself the most. Therefore, in the second line, he asserts, Siddham, it is established, Brahma eva aham, I am Brahma. So, I am also Sachidananda, and Brahman also you are saying Sachidananda. Oh, Shruti, you are saying Brahman also Sachidananda. I am also Sachidananda. When here the author, when he says I am Sachidananda, that I is the capital I. That is the Lakshyartha or the implied meaning of I. So direct meaning, which is termed as Vachyartha. So when we look at Vachyartha level, it will not be equal. Vachyartha not equal to Vachyartha. Because my body is different from your body and then etc. etc. So it will not be equal. And if you take one, the left hand side, if I take the indirect meaning, implied meaning, and then the right hand side, still I keep the direct meaning, then also it will not be equal, right? So we'll have to have both left hand side and right hand side. Lakshyartha, the implied meaning here is equal to implied meaning there. So in that context, I think we have to look at. That's where we make use of the pramanam, the logic, and so on. So that we'll have to keep in mind. I got a slide, but next week I'll show that. So it is registered in our mind. So let's dwell on this, some of the key words what we will be coming across throughout the text. Some of you may be familiar, but just to put that in context and also give some example as why it is so important for the knowledge of self. Shruti is the pramana. Why? That will be very clear. So that we'll touch upon in a few minutes and then get into the logic part of this sloka. Purpose of studying Advaita Makaranda is to remove the Prameya Asambhavana. Prameya Asambhavana. What is Prameya Asambhavana? I learned something from Shravanam, but I have a conflict in my mind. It's not in line with what I heard through Shravanam. Shravanam, will give whatever the listening. I listened that Ram Janik Raman, as I think we took this example in the first class. Ram Janik Raman is sick, so he's not going to come. That's what I know. But somebody tells me that they saw Ram Janak Raman here in the parking lot. So that is a conflict. So I have to resolve that. So the knowledge about that Prameya, that is to be known, that has to be resolved. That's why that conflict, asambhavana, Prameya asambhavana, that has to be removed. That's what happens during the Mananam stage. That's what we are going through. And this text, as we saw, it's a Mananam text. Now let's take, I didn't type this. So one who wants to know something, supposing I want to know what is this. Okay. So I am called the person who want to know, Pramata. And the one which has to be known is Prameya. This is the one to be known. Right. And how will I know this? By means of knowledge. I have to resort to means of knowledge. And there are 6 pramanas that are listed in our Shastra. The predominant one, normally we all familiar with, are a couple of them, Pratyaksha Pramana. We see, hence I know. And also, along with that, some inference also, that somebody has told me that, this is pot. Earlier. That's how, or something like this is pot. That inference and the Pratyaksha Pramana will go together and then give me the knowledge. So those are the terms. Pramata is me. Prameya is the one which to be known. And means of knowledge is Pramana. But that all the garbled ones are the English ones. Oh.
It's a very good example. And the meaning of all coming is Shabda. And the Shabda is supposed to give a Tadakar Vritti, which is not happening in India. So, in a way, that turned out to be a very good example.
Yes.
One.
Very good point. Yeah. So that is, in fact, we'll build up on that point, Samir. You brought a very good point. So let's build up that. So here, Pramata, Pramanam, and Prameya. So those three words actually you should be familiar. Okay. Now, when we want to know something, obviously, one of the means of knowledge has to be the important one. Prabala Pramana. It has to be the important one. Because, see, I'll take one example and then explain what I mean by that. And where I was going is that when it comes to self-knowledge, Brahmanjnanam, what is the Pramana? Prabala Pramana is Shruti when it comes to self-knowledge. So that we should be clear. And for that matter, for anything we want to know, there is a Prabala Pramana. Like, for example, you go to somebody's house and you see beautiful flower-based arrangement. And so nice of you that you brought some fresh flowers and all because I'm coming and all that. Like that we think. But during the conversation, we happen to touch that and then realize that it is actually plastic. So the Pratyaksha Pramana, the mana through your eyes versus the touch becomes the Prabala Pramana there, right? And in fact, it can happen the other way also. We may think through the eyes that it is actually plastic. But when you touch it, it may be real flower. It has actually happened a couple of weeks ago. We went to see Pipin Bhatti here. And they had a beautiful flower, which we have never seen. It's this much of a base and then nice flower, one flower, big one. And we thought actually it is plastic when we saw. But when she went and touched it, then only, it's real flower. So it can happen. So there is a Prabala Praman. I'll give an example. When you look at this, overall thinking that it is carrot halwa,
Tamarind rice.
tamarind rice. No, what happened? This is our own example, our Chennai Gurukul example. We had a potluck about 3-4 years ago, Diwali celebration. Somebody brought this, and Bhavana knows this experience. Actually, this is a salad, but it was kept in the dessert table because everybody thought it is a dessert. Then after they all finished and then went there for dessert, when they took it, tasted it, then only they realized it's a salad. By the time, of course, the whole other course and all over. So there is the Prabala Pramana for everything. Of course, there can be a secondary Pramana too, but there is a problem. Self-knowledge is one which is beyond the reach of all our indriyas. Right? What is there we can grasp and understand, digest. That of course we can use our sense organs, right? And that's what we meant for, right? But self-knowledge is something which is actually cannot be through sense organs. Nidrana vidya, grahanam na vidya. Ramana Maharshi says. So for that, Shruti is the Pramana. So that aspect actually will have to register in our mind. Okay. So, and we have a lot of justification. We can go through that at the appropriate time. Why for such things Shruti is the Pramana? That also can be proved. Okay. But I thought I'll just set that stage so that we understand that for self-knowledge, Shruti is the Pramana. That is one point. The other thing is, this sloka, most of us studied when we went through Brahmajnani or Himala, and we are all chanting also. There are three cardinals. I don't know how to promote this. Yeah. Sorry. There are three cardinal points of Vedanta. The one is Brahma Satyam. The second is Jagan Mithya. And third one is Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. Brahman is the truth, world is Mithya. And we have done a lot of reflection point on this in the previous topics and all that. And now we may recollect all those reflection points what we are building up for this text. So we have analyzed it. Then the third one is very important, and that's the most difficult. We can understand Brahma Satyam. Oh, Brahman is Anintyam, Apurvam. There's no beginning, there's no end, and Ekam, and Sachidanand. All these things we can know. Oh, yeah, Brahman. Okay, keep it. But and also Jagat also we can think that we can reason out, oh, it's mithya. Okay, what you're saying is it doesn't have any independent existence. It is having the dependent existence. So that's why you're calling it as mithya. Like this pot has got the dependent existence on the clay. That's why you're saying it's mithya. Oh, we can understand. But the third one is the most difficult one. Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. This Jiva is Brahman and not different. That is the part which is very difficult to accept. That's where Shruti Pramana comes in. And that's the link here we want to keep in mind as we go through this. There are certain things which, even in our day-to-day life also we can see there are some, minute atoms and all that we cannot see with our sense organs. We need some instrument, right? A telescope or a microscope, whatever. So like that, which is beyond our indriyas, we need Shruti as a Prabha. And this self-knowledge can be only through Shruti. So that aspect we'll have to keep in mind. So with that in mind, let's go through this logical analysis process for this particular sloka. By the way, this Panchanga Nyaya, which is the fivefold logical syllogism, that's called, is there in our, as part of our analysis, do our text and all that. And it is used for various things. And now we will, maybe as we go through, for all the 28 slokas, we have done this analysis, by the way. But we will not be able to go through all those things because it will take a lot of time. But we'll do a couple of them here in the class now and then. And then, but I would like you to, if we have time, then go through this. And if you have questions and all, then we can take it up. but one or two slokas or a couple of them will do now and then. So they should recollect. But it's a very good analysis. And this actually, the logical analysis. That's what we are all now these days. We want everything to be logically analyzed. We have to be logically convinced. Then only we'll register. Shruti says, for what? I need to logically, get convinced, right? That's how our current generation also is there. And that's why it is used. Now, one thing we need to remember, this is not to prove what Shruti is saying. It is for us to understand what Shruti is saying. We cannot really question what Shruti is saying. Oh, that brings me to Samir's point on this. If you really look at these three entities, Pramata, Prameya, and Pramana, when it comes to Shruti knowledge, where should we focus? On Pramata. Because to be known Brahman, that's given. And you cannot find any defect in Brahman. Right? Brahman, all-pervading, pure consciousness. Satchit Ananda. So there's no defect. There's nothing, here at least we can, this one, I can say, it's a pot. But really, actually, it is a chocolate. Not pot, not clay. Like that I can say. But when it comes to Brahman, it is Brahman only. There's no other question. Yeah. And similarly, means of knowledge also is Pika. Because Shruti is Pramana. So the one which we have to focus on is Pramata. That is we, you and me, who wants to know about Brahman. Who wants to know our true self. I wish the garbage was only for Pramata, not for the other. That's one point which we'll have to. But when it comes to pot, of course, garbage can be for all three, right? So that way it is okay.
Right, the one among which you can see.
Oh.
Lot of the always who is focusing that out.
All right, exactly. Yeah, Darshan's point here is that Ramana Maharshi is always, whenever the question came to Ramana Maharshi, he will ask who is asking that question. Because from Mata, there's you and me, we have to actually analyze ourselves, do some self-inquiry. The other two are given. So that's another point which we'll have to remember here as we proceed.
Just thinking, there's something, something we learn, some conflict from. One example I was thinking, say I don't know, somebody wants to go to downtown Atlanta, he's taking like 400 south to sophisticated. But somebody told me he looked at 400 north. There's a kind of conflict. But probably if he is there, immediately cannot go to the south, he has to take it right turn, come back and U-turn and then go back.
Right.
So immediately, apparently, it looks like that he is going north, but actually he is taking a north, eventually he'll turn around and he'll come back to south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. It may appear to be going the wrong direction.
But he said something, but it's the opposite. But no, I mean, just we look for a small fragment, like what we are about doing is looking for a small segment of time.
Yeah.
And when you expand the time, then yeah, you can see like sometimes 75 north, actually sometimes north might be going south and then coming back again, going back this way. Right?
Yeah. 285 is typical example. It says north, south, east, everything it says. Good. So, logical analysis. So this is where actually last time we were there. We listed these steps. Now, it's supposed to be Panjangalinga, but why 6 steps are there? That question may come. The Vyapti and Hetu, they are one step. The Vyapti is supposed to be a subset of Hetu. So we went through the example of smoke. I see smoke, right? And I see smoke. That's why fire is in the mountain. I see the smoke in the mountain, and hence mountain is having the fire is there in the mountain. So how do we arrive at that? Is this logic we use? Proposition is that fire is in the mountain. Hetu, the reason is I see the smoke. And Vyapti, which always talks about two things going together, is smoke and fire, they go together. Where there is smoke, there is fire. May not be true other way, but where there is smoke, there is fire. They go together. And that's why the example, how do I know that where there is smoke, there is fire? Because I saw it in campfire. So similar to the smoke coming from the fire in the campfire. And hence, the conclusion is that smoke is there in the mountain, and hence there is fire. So that's the way actually learn. So let's see how in the sloka we can fit that. Yes, yes, hypothesis. Can we think of it as hypothesis? With your question, yes. So here, the pratigna, I'll go through quickly this example, and then we'll revisit this and build upon that on the seconds. I'll go through this quickly. The proposition is I am Brahman. That is the proposition. And what is the reason? Because I've listed, in the red and all, you can see the similar example about the fire and mountain example. What is the hetu? The reason is I see those threefold qualities, existence, consciousness, and bliss, in me is same as Brahman. That is the reason. There is a nyaya, lakshana samanyat vastu samapyam. Identical attributes indicate identity between two seemingly different entities. That is the nyaya. They seem to be seemingly different, but because the attributes are same, they are same. What is the example? Drishtanta. For example, a person may know Brahmacharini Jyotiji only by her previous name, Deepavali. However, upon seeing Brahmacharini Jyotiji now, she having the same qualities as Deepavali, that person realizes that they are one and the same. Qualities of, identical qualities of two things, even though they seemingly look different, if the qualities are same, then the things are same. That is the hetu, and this is the drishtanta for that. And of course, explanation is the way that Deepavali and Brahmacharini Jyotiji are known as one through their identical attributes, similar to that Brahman and I have similar attributes, and hence we are saved. Nigamana, conclusion. Therefore, Brahman and I are not two, it's same. Keep this in mind, reflect on it. Then there are maybe so many other questions which we have to still stop. We may have another 30, 15 to 20 minutes or so on this first sloka itself, because this first sloka is actually kind of understand, then substance how the other slokas and all build up on this. So that's why it's better to put foundation strongly on this first sloka. For example, the question may come Ahamasmi sadhabhami. I always shine. How can I be sadhabhami? For me to shine all the time, I can understand from yesterday to today I was shining. Yesterday also I was shining, today also I was shining. Right? And in my young age also I was shining, and now also in my old Vanaprastha also I'm shining. I am. But how can I understand that I will be sadhabhami after my death also? Because if I, the implied meaning, has to be Brahman, then after my death also I should be shining. The sadhabhami implies that. How? We have to reason out. So dwell on that. Then we'll take such topics and all that on the sloka the next week. Sure. Yapti is Lakshana Samanya, Vastu Samanya. Maybe I'll share this in the okay. I'll share this and you can dwell on that. And then if you have any questions and all, we get to. This is something which we have to really just sink it in so that we'll. See, that's why I took this example of, so you can extend this, think of such example. This can be only through reflection. We will have to dwell on this. Because, and also sometimes, it may look as if when we read this, oh, it's all clear. But, when you start thinking about it, then only it will be, a lot more questions will come and then we can digest that way.
One thing.
Yeah.
See, the example of orange milk is just one.
Yeah.
Here the Hetu is freedom. It's Ati Mahani. Right? It's not one on. I could have been easier to understand that if Brahman is just fire just. But because Brahman is being characterized by Asti Mahani here, Satchitananda. That's why we were very confused with you.
Sadhananda as one as opposed to three. If you can't split Brahman and split God and both is one, then it's so it's one is right.
When people nature mind,
Yeah.
that's the attributes.
We have to say. But then all three, but yeah. Three items come together at a time. You five of them one thing, one thing. And you use the verb to translate three different items. So we gave our mind to be one versus three. But three is actually the same.
You're all dwelling in the right direction. So that's please think about that. Go deeper, and then it will definitely help.
It wasn't clear. Ati Mahani Kriya, you would bring in somehow into the discussion. Now, what is it?
It's a very important idea to sink in. um, so I'll share this. I understand fully that that's why the example like the one which see here also between Deepavali and Brahmachari Jyotiji, just not one attribute. There can be many attributes, right? So, or not two attributes. So it can be many. So like that, if you can take example and then dwell on it, and I hope the online participants got the gist of what the discussion that took place here. Um, but anyway, please do reflect on it and then we can see. I will not have time for, see, I want to do meditation, an important uh, one, building up the concept of consciousness, but it needs time. So I think we'll do the meditation next week because 9:30 I promised some people that it will be a hard stop. But what we can do is actually we can just touch upon this little bit more and then also just conclude with chanting of those meditative verses. We have a few more minutes. So the second sloka we are going to enter, like the many questions that came up in our mind now, he is going to address question after question for the rest of the text. Because so many questions will come. That how can I be Brahman? I am not all pervading. I am not all knowing. But Brahman is supposed to be Sarvajna. And Brahman is supposed to be the cause of everything, Sarva Karana. But I am not, you know, I'm not all knowing, I'm not Sarva Karana, all knowing, omniscient. I don't know even how to spell that word omniscient correctly. Leave alone all knowing. So all these questions one by one will come, right? So he's going to take up all those questions, and then in the next 26 slokas, he's going to address that. So as we go fast, to the more and more slokas, we'll go faster. But as I said, it's better to lay down the foundation. The next sloka is to address these two aspects, that is the Sarvajna and Sarvakaranam. How can I be all knowing and how can I be all cause of all? So this sloka, we'll just chant the sloka and then see the meaning, and then I'll come back next week. And then promise that next week we'll allocate 17 to 20 minutes for that important meditation. Repeat after me. Mayyevo deti chidyomni mayye deti chidyomni jagat gandharvamattanam atoham nakatam brahma sarvajñam sarvakaranam. Together. Mayyevo deti chidyomni jagat gandharvapattanam ato nakatam brahma sarvajñam sarvakaranam. So again, a lot of packed message here. Mayi, Mayi eva, in me alone, Mayi eva. Who is this me? We'll have to link to the first sloka. That me is capital me, not this body, mind, intellect. This me, which is consciousness, Chit, the first word in the second part of the sloka, the first line. that chit, that consciousness in me, Jagat Udeti, the world rises. In consciousness in me, Jagat Udeti. How? It is like when we look at the space and with the clouds and all there, right? All our young, I'm sure all of us would have done this. We would have seen elephant there. We would have seen some castles. We would have seen some animals. We would have seen some, house there or bungalows. All kinds of shapes will be there, right? In the space, you see that. Even now also, when we look at this is amazing actually, sometimes the shape with which it forms and so on. So that is all like, this Gandharva, in the space, in the sky, all the castles are built, right? But the space is not at all affected by that. We perceive so many things in the space, but space is not affected, right? So it is like those castles in the sky that rises. In consciousness, the world rises. Mahi eva jagat udayati. How? Mahi eva gandharvam pattanam yomni. Yomni is that space. In that space, that gandharvam pattanam. That those kind of bungalows and all these things, shapes and all, they rise. Like that, in me, we can see in our dream also. Dream example is very good example. That's why we had some reflection on some of the topics, reflection topic on dream. In our dream, so many castles or so many characters, so many things come up. Different things. Right? So like that, world arises. Therefore, ataha, aham na katham brahma. How can I not be Brahman? I'm also creating the world. In me, the consciousness, the world is created. So, how can I not be Brahman? We'll, of course, see the detail. I am Sarvagna. I know all. And I am the creator, Sarvakarana, of that Gandharva Patana, of this world, which is illusory, which is mithya. I am the reason. Me, the pure consciousness. So, this is to give an introduction to that second sloka. In me, the space of consciousness, alone does the whole world rises, then how I am not therefore Brahman. I am the all-knower and cause of all. We'll dwell on those two again in detail and then have the guided meditation also next week. And now let us conclude with chanting these two slokas. Vidya, can you do that? Nityamavya sukam niranjanam Brahmatatvamasi bhavayatmi Brahmatatvamasi bhavayatmi. We'll take one of the verses next week and for meditation. And those who don't know the meaning, some of you, most of you attended the class when we had this 10 verses of meditative verses. So those who do not have the meaning, if you can refer to the book, that's fine. If you want the meaning for against each one of these sloka, please text me. I will share that meaning so that you know it will be useful for you. Very good meaning. So let's conclude. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So next week we'll start with meditation. So try to come early so that you know. Maybe we can keep the door slightly open so in case you are coming late. But and those online also, those who are online, please try to log in and be ready. So we'll start with meditation. That way, the rest of the time we can use for our discussion. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week. Hari Om.